Welcome to Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by MudBuddy Motors.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
The only podcast to bring you insights on the world of hunting, fishing, and boating. With your host, J. Paul Jackson.
You don't say much, do you?
Now, load up and sight in. This is On the X.
Welcome to the Excel Boats on the X Podcast, powered by MudBuddy Motors. J. Paul Jackson here today with my co-host Dave Reynolds out in West Jordan, Utah, holding down the fort at MudBuddy. What's going on, Dave?
Well, what's going on? I'm looking outside and it's cloudy and little breeze. I wish I was out there product testing this afternoon, but it might have to wait till tomorrow. Well, it's definitely have to wait till tomorrow because I only got 3.5 hours of shooting time today. So, yeah, things are good. Things are good, but you mentioned J. Paul before this podcast that you were in the doghouse, and I got news for you. I'm in the doghouse too, because on the last hunt, I took my dog in an area. He's got a puncture wound on his front paw, and he had a bad laceration on his rear paw. So, speaking about being in the doghouse, we were both in the doghouse, and she is out for a good 3 weeks now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And Mom wasn't happy when you came home with her baby.
No, not at all. It's called Phragmites. That is the culprit.
Yeah, they are really, really tough. We don't have those here in the Mississippi Flyway, but we do hunt a lot of flooded corn and flooded cornfields. Same deal. I get in trouble with my wife every season because I'll take a dog and it'll get a corn stalk, cut a pad.
Yeah.
She gets. They just don't understand that stuff.
No, they didn't. Yeah, they don't. Yeah, it's all your fault. Yeah, it's my fault. And yeah, they don't quite understand it. It's not a good deal. I had to run to the store this afternoon to get buy a scalpel from medical, and then do our own little surgery. Yeah, drain an abscess. So yeah. It's the routine I go through every year.
You know what a very, very wise man once told me? He said, son, in marriage, you can be right or you can be happy. And let me tell you what, I'm a very happy man because at my house, I am always wrong. Yeah, so, that's the way it is. Well, I'm sorry to hear that you're in the doghouse right now, but I'm glad you're at least here with us today because we've also got another really special guest. Our guest today is a guy that's pretty well known throughout the Midwest. Every sporting goods store that you go in, if you ask them if they know Jeff Watts, they're going to tell you yes, because Jeff is the principal in, and Jeff, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mid-America Sport Sales?
That's correct.
Mid-America Sports Sales throughout the Midwest, including in Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas. I'm probably missing a state. You are the rep for a lot of different companies, but you also have a real strong relationship with SITKA Gear, both as a product developer, tester, and sales guy. Is that right?
That's correct. That's right.
Man, well, it's a pleasure for Dave and I to have you as our guest on the show today. I know some really, really cool stuff's going out there in the gear world with SITKA. So we want to talk with you a little bit about that. But first, I know you hunt both in Missouri from around the Kansas City area where you live all the way down into southern Arkansas and the area where I have a camp and where Dave hunts with our sales rep, Bill Atkinson, every year. How's your preparations for duck seasons going?
Well, it's going good. We had a flood here in Missouri a couple weeks ago, and so we got a bunch of free water. Our woods are full. We flood about 300, and so we flood in the woods. We flood about 150 to 160 of the 300 that we got there, and then in our moist soil, a WRP tract, we've got about 500 acres that we put about 320 acres of water on, and so we're full. We're actually starting to drop some water off to get it back to the good depth for puddle ducks. Arkansas, I think shaping up. We've got some leases on some rice fields that the local farmers take care of that for us. And then the other couple places, really, I don't have to do much down there. I mean, we hunt the woods most of the time, so you're not making blinds or brushing blinds or any of that stuff. So you're just showing up and finding a nice tree.
Let me ask you, Jeff, past few years, what has been most consistent hunting or most productive, Missouri or Arkansas?
The past few years for me, it's probably been, so we've got a house on Maddox Bay, which is right on the White River Refuge down there. And so, we want an overflow. We want a flood down there so we can hunt the couple 100,000 acres we've got right behind the house. And we haven't had that down there. But I kind of hedged my bet, and I've got a spot in a place up by Augusta that's really, really good called White Oak Duck Woods. And so I'm kind of spoiled with that because it's good whether, the bottom's flood out or not. And so it's been good down there. Missouri hasn't been bad. Our woods in Missouri haven't been as good because I think the migration patterns that we've had, we don't always put water into those woods at the same time so we can kind of take care of our trees. And last year we put water in the woods a little later than normal, and then we immediately froze. Last year was unseasonably cold across the whole country, really, and we froze up 10, 12 days after we put water on it. So we shot them for about 5 or 6, 7 days, and then we kind of went into we got to go find a mode, and so that's using big boats, using boats instead of just driving in and waiting shooting. So,
Well, it's good to have the option between the two areas. Good.
Yeah.
Tell me something. You just mentioned that you flooded late, and then within a week or two you froze out. We talk a lot here on the podcast about imprinting ducks, and always like to hear people's thoughts on that. How do you think, missing a year, basically with water during duck season, when you've got an area that ducks are accustomed to using, how big a deal do you think that is?
I think it's a pretty big deal. I mean, it's a big enough deal to where, we keep water on those woods as late as we can physically keep it on there. And, I think there's a lot of imprinting that goes on going south for sure, but there's a ton of it going north on their way back. And I do think you miss some because they don't use those parts of that habitat that is there when there's ice. They get all mobbed up, and they stay mobbed up, and they just go to big water. They go to moving water. And when you're talking moving water here, you're talking the Missouri River, or you're talking big reservoirs like Truman reservoirs, some of the power plants around us. So it changes it a bit.
Maybe we see it out here too in Utah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the big water years are the best hunting. Last year we've had real good water was probably 6 years ago, and it was phenomenal. Yeah, we had ducks all year long, and a lot of ducks. This year, we're experiencing drought once again. Had extremely dry winter, hottest, driest summer on record, and we don't have the water. Hunting has been good so far, but I anticipate later in the year. What I see is, the ducks will probably still migrate through, but they will stay very short. If there's no water, there's no food, and there's nothing for them. So they may, still be imprinting on Utah, but they don't stay long. They come in and out, or they'll fly through overnight. So I think it has a big water levels have a big effect on. Probably more so out west than anywhere else.
One of the things that was really amazing to us last year is how cold it got in Missouri or mid-Missouri, and how many ducks were still on the Missouri River when it was like we were in like day 10 of it being froze solid. And we had some great hunts on it. We had some hunts when the ice flow on the Missouri was so heavy that you couldn't get on it with a boat. So we walk in, and unbelievable amount of ducks. And I don't know if they ever left, just because of the management that the Department of Conservation is doing here, just the hardiness of those ducks. I think some of those ducks, they don't even get to Arkansas for whatever reason. And I think you're seeing that across the flyway is the the migration is not going as far south.
You know, I think you're dead on right. And I think there are a lot of factors that influence that. And I think one of the big ones right now, and, you know, we've seen this over the last few years, is corn prices have been so good, been a lot of corn farmed, and you've got a lot of farmers that are doing no-till. And, you know, we've talked about this on the program before. When you're doing no-till, you're not coming back and disking up those stalks right after you run the picker through there, picking that corn. So when you do come through and pick it, instead of coming through after it with a disc, you come through after it with a bush hog, and the corn, the cob that is left with kernels on them, instead of disking them under, you're broadcasting them everywhere. And, you know, it's funny, about 4 years ago, I was up filming some stuff on the Missouri River up near the you know, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri border right there where they all three meet. And it was 10 degrees above zero, but there wasn't a whole lot of snow cover. There was a lot of ice in the river, but it was still passable. And we smashed the ducks for 3 days straight, where they were dry feeding in a big no-till cornfield, plenty of food, still some open water on the river. And those ducks are not going anywhere. You know, those birds, they've got food, they've got open water, they've got high carbohydrate food for when it's that cold. I think you're right. It causes them to short stop. A lot of people want to blame it on, you know, different departments of conservation feeding the birds, but it's really our farming practices are feeding the birds, and that's what short stops them. What do you think about that?
I don't disagree at all. I mean, I've seen it. I know exactly where you're hunting up there in the Bob Brown, Rouleau area, and we've witnessed it ourselves. And you know, it's you're not only seeing it there, you see it through the state of Kansas on all those reservoirs that go down through there. You know, that all the way in that. So that would really be the central flyway. And I think a lot of those ducks that come through that area, Squaw Creek and whatnot, they're not even coming into Arkansas. Those, if you look at a map, it's a straight shot basically over Tulsa. Squaw Creek is, and they just come straight down and just hang around because there's water, there's no snow cover, and there's food.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I ask you, Jeff, is, you know, where you've had better success, Missouri, Arkansas, because you hear that the birds are being short-stopped in Missouri, and the same token, you hear that the birds are being short-stopped in Arkansas from going to Louisiana. Louisiana has had, you know, very tough hunting the last few years, and, you know, they're convinced birds just aren't making it down to Louisiana.
Well, sorry, Jay.
No, go ahead, Jeff. What's your comment there?
I would say, and you know, one of the things, I wouldn't say that I'm a snob by any means. Maybe the snob's the wrong word, but I love to hunt ducks in the woods, and so I might leave Missouri.
Yeah, you're a snob. Yeah.
To go hunt the ducks in the woods because that's what I want to do, and I can do that. So I mean, I'd much rather shoot have two bunches of ducks do it right in the woods than have 10 bunches do it over a WRP. And it's not because I don't like shooting them and don't like seeing them work. It's just I've got that at my disposal, so that's what I want to go do.
Yeah, that definitely, though, Dave is right. That does qualify you as a duck snob, but that's okay. I mean, you know, wouldn't you agree, Dave?
Yeah, oh yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've hunted timber, and it's magical. I mean, I can see where you get hooked. You know, here in Utah, we don't have a tree in sight in the marshes. You know, as far as you can see. I mean, you look 10 miles, and there's not a freaking tree. So, obviously, we don't have too many timber opportunities. But I shot my first wood ducks. Actually, I've been hunting Utah for probably 28 years. These are the first two wood ducks I've ever even freaking seen in 28 years. A drake and a hen on Sunday morning. So I don't know what they're thinking. They were definitely way off course because they were in this, you know, big open marsh, the Great Salt Lake. So speaking of trees and ducks, yeah, It was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. They came in on my boy's side. He was asleep on the muskrat house, and I had to sort of sneak around over to his side to jump him, and he was not happy that he took a nap at the wrong time.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I bet Jack was pissed.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that would have been a trophy, but he probably saved you some money because you'd have probably had to have had that Drake if
Probably
he was in full
so.
plumage mounted for
I
him.
just said, Jack, no worries. Just wait another 28 years. You might see another pair of wood ducks. Yeah.
You know, when we talk about the duck short stopping, though, I think it happens everywhere. It's just with mallards, and I want to qualify that too because you know they are. I mean, take a look at the Gadwall kill over the last couple of years in Louisiana. You know, they're pounding them. I mean, I hunt a lot in the Delta down in Mississippi and in woods where we used to get mallards. I mean, we're still killing a lot of ducks in the woods. They're just all gray ducks because, you know, they're more photo migrators than they are climate migrators. But, you know, the mallard is by far the most affected by climate and the least affected by daylight. So all up and down, you know, there are factors that influence that. I mean, Dave, the last time that I was out in Utah, Glade and Clint and I went over and hunted in the central part of the state on some warm springs.
Right. Actually, that was the far eastern part of the state, right near the Colorado border, actually, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
sorry. Eastern. I'm sorry. Yeah, more east. That's exactly. And, you know, we got over there. It was either 14 or 17 below zero that afternoon, but we were hunting on warm springs with Morgan Freeman, and the four of us killed 20. Of course, you know, you can kill 7 mallards or 7 ducks per person per day out there. We killed 27 greenheads and 1 Drake widgeon, and that Drake widgeon was the only non-mallard that we saw. With 14 below zero, with that warm water and abundance of food, those Russian olives there in that creek, those ducks aren't going anywhere. They stop there. They're not going any further south.
No, you're right.
You're right. So, Jeff, you hunt a lot of timber. You're field staff with RNT and also rep their line. What, I don't know, RNT has, man, they have a wide assortment of duck calls. What would be your favorite RNT call if you were to pick one call to use?
I'm a Mondo guy. I'm a Mondo guy.
Oh, yeah, that's a relatively new call. And, you know, I was looking at Max the other day, and they've expanded that Mondo line. Now they have, about 6 different models of Mondo duck calls?
They do. They've got a straight Mondo, which was the original one that would be after that, oak call. And
cut down call.
Cut down, yeah. And then they came out with a Mondo LT for guys that didn't push as much air, that would kind of sound and have that bark that a Mondo's got. And then they came out last year with the Mondo LA, which doesn't stand for Louisiana. It basically stands for
Los Angeles.
Or Los Angeles, right? It stands for Lower Arkansas. And then they introduced the shorts in all 3 series. So you decrease the amount of space in between the lip area and the tone board, and it just makes them easier to blow. Those Mondos, if you're not used to blowing them, they're really hard to blow for the normal cat. So.
Oh, I'm sure. If you have a bad cold, forget it. Keep it at home, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What about your shotgun of choice? It's got to be a Beretta or Benelli.
I love the 28 gauge. And
really?
So I shoot a lot of 28 gauges. I have both an A400 and I have an Ethos. And
J. Paul, that just confirms the fact he's a snob. He's a timber hunter and 28 gauge on top of that. And
well, I hadn't got into what I really like to do, and that's really like to shoot them with my Model 42 410.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, I inherited a Model 42 from my great grandpa, and yep, that is. I killed a lot of rabbits with that. But you know, what do you do? I mean, that's an old gun. What do you do? I mean, aren't you worried about the barrel bulging? Do you have some work done?
No.
You shoot bismuth and.
I shoot bismuth or classic doubles through it.
Okay. All right.
So here's a question for you. I mean, obviously you're a duck snob if you're shooting a 28 gauge and you like that 410 Model 42 Winchester, and you only like in the timber. Do you drive a Range Rover also?
No, sir. I got F350 pickups. That's it.
But you dress in tweed though, don't you? I thought you wore SITKA.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, I don't dress in tweed. I'm about as
okay.
as they come. I just like shooting those little guns. And you know what? What's amazing is that we shoot the little guns a lot more than a lot of people think. And I mean, I shoot them up with Ira at Locust Grove up in heaven, and we take the 28 gauges and just work them over. 28 gauges got one of the best patterns of all the gauges, and you just gotta shoot them right, you know.
So what choke tube and what size shot do you use in a 28?
I'm using just standard heavy shot 6s in it. In fact, here you go. I drew a swan tag in Nevada last year, and I went to Nevada and shot a swan 35 yards with a 28 gauge.
That's impressive. You know, small gauges are great. They're fun. You know, my son hunts a 20 gauge, and he's made some shots this year where I was about ready to, no, Jack, don't shoot. They're too far. Shot and drops them dead clean with, a skeet tube and number 4 shot and a little 20 gauge. So, I mean, it all, if you're on them, you're on them, you're going to kill them. If you're off, you're not going to kill them with a 10 gauge, Well,
that's right. You get a couple years ago, I had Skip Knowles, and Skip will tell you that it could be the best duck hunt he's ever been on in his life. He'd been on several boondoggles to go timber shooting in Arkansas, and lo and behold, he has the best timber shoot of his life in the state of Missouri. And he wasn't going to come. And I had to it was when we were launching the timber line. We were doing all the video content, all the content gathering for the timber launch for SITKA gear. And he called me 2 days before, or the day before, and said, Jeff, I'm not coming. The weather's going to be 60 degrees, and I'm not coming. I've been on too many of these to where it's just a mess. And I'm like, Skip, we went today, and this was a Sunday. We went today, and I had 7 kids with me, and all 7 kids were shooting 20 gauges, or one of them was shooting a 410. I said all of them shot their ducks, and all of them shot their ducks by 10 o'clock. If you're not on that plane and in that airport, I'm never inviting you back. And so he showed up. He showed up, and I mean, the whole time from the airport. So a 2-hour drive, hour and a half drive, something like that. He's like, man, this was a bad decision. I just moved to Colorado. I don't even have my favorite gun. I said, well, your favorite gun's a 28 gauge A400, isn't it? He goes, yep. I said, I got one right in the back, brand new, out of the box. And so he goes, are you kidding me? And I said, no, it's right there. We're shooting little gauges. And for 4 days, we shot 28 gauges and 410s and murdered them. And he's like, every day he's like, I cannot believe this. I shot 4 times today, Jeff. And I said, that's how it's supposed to be, because we can only shoot 4 mallard drakes here. And so I shot 4 times today. And then he thought he'd get cute and try to clean a brand new gun. Second day into it. So the third day he goes out, turns the 28 gauge into a single shot. And one of my partners in the club down there was done with a 410 over and under. And I was shooting a Model 42. And he was shooting over under, and he said, Skip, here, use my gun. So we get a bunch of ducks come in, and Drake's just hovering right in front of him, and he whiffs on him with the first shot, shoots him in the butt with the second shot, and it goes drifting across to one of my other partners, and he crushes him, and dog brings him back. The freaking bird's banded. He still won't let me live it down, the 410. Every once in a while, he'll put a blurb in his little editorial comment there at the beginning saying, and don't ever think about taking a 410 to the woods with you or to the field with you. It's the worst duck gun ever. Yeah. You just got to know how to shoot, Skip.
Yeah, and for you guys, for our listeners that don't know who Skip is, Skip Knowles is the editor of Wildfowl magazine and one of the most avid duck hunters in the country. So yeah, Skip's definitely been around.
Yeah, so you ask him, and he'll tell you it could be the best duck hunt he's ever been on.
Wow. I got another question for you. So your Model 42, are you shooting a Winchester Model 42, or are you shooting a newer Browning Model 42?
No, these are Winchester Model 42s. I got them from a friend of mine by the name of Duck Combs, who he might have had the largest Model 42 collection in the country, or maybe the world. He helped write the book on the Model 42 with Winchester, and I actually have 3 of them. All of them full choke, and I shoot them all. I have one. My kids move one around. Another friend of mine borrows one here and there, but there's no gun that I own that doesn't go hunting. I don't believe in not shooting them. I
They haven't sit idle. Yep, I agree. Yep, they're made to shoot and hunt with. I got mine from my great grandpa. I mentioned got a Model 42 and a Model 12 20 gauge, and my great grandpa Gus Howler. Guess who his hunting buddy was? John Olin.
I'll be danged.
And
Really?
John Olin gave him those guns. Actually, my great grandpa was county commissioner, and he gave Winchester the incentives and break to build in East Alton. And actually, my great grandpa owned a lot of the land where the Olin, East Alton Winchester facility is right now. So, yeah, pretty neat little history. Him and John Olin were hunting buds. I got old photos of him and John Olin at Nilo Farms, in front of piles of ducks, dressed in tweed, of course. John Olin always had the knickers on, and sporting guy.
There you go.
Wow, I didn't know that you had a couple 42s. I've got 3. I've got a 2.5-inch chambered ancient trap gun Winchester that I don't shoot, and I've got actually got 4. I've got an Angelo B engraved Winchester 42, and I've also got another Winchester Model 42 full choke vent rib, and I've got a Browning 42 Model 410, and it's the one that I hunt with most of the time. But my favorite 410 is a one that you'd appreciate. I've got a Browning superposed 410/28 gauge that I inherited from my father. It's a pigeon grade gun. It is super nice, super sweet.
Yeah.
And it was bought by Kim Wilson for Spence Wilson to use in the 410 hole at Greenbrier.
Wow.
My dad bought it from Spence a few years ago and then passed it on to me.
That is a sweet gun.
Have you ever been there to Greenbrier, Jeff?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with Greenbrier. I'm more, when it comes to double guns, I'm more of a side-by-side guy. And what I'm missing, I've got Parker, 28 gauge, a Parker 20 gauge, a Beretta 20 gauge, then I've got a couple guns that were made in Italy by Sandro Lucchini, a 12 and a 20 gauge for me. I'm missing a 410, and I've been looking.
Would you like to have a Winchester Model 21?
I'd love to have a 21. I've got one of the guys in the other, not the Timber Club. Well, actually, he's in the Timber Club too. That's all he shoots is 21s or Foxes. And I've been looking for an A8 Fox or a 21 in 410. I don't know if they even made 21s in 410 that much. If there were many of them, I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt if they did. Yeah, I got an old, actually inherited from my great grandpa an L.C. Smith side by side. In fact, I killed my first ducks and goose with that L.C. Smith.
I've got a Model 21 in 20 gauge, but I'm not sure I've ever seen a 21 in 410.
Yeah, I know Fox did and L.C. Smith, but I don't know if they did 21s in 410.
Hey, Jeff, going to gear, speaking about gear and SITKA gear, obviously you're a pro staff or, athlete for SITKA and give them a lot of ideas and input. What is your favorite piece of SITKA gear if you were to narrow it down to one garment or one item of SITKA gear?
The waders, man. The Delta Zips is the best waterfowl wader ever made. Period.
That's what I hear. Yep, I've owned Gore-Tex waders in the past. Browning had Gore-Tex waders, and actually Sims, and those Sims waders I had lasted 10 years. Yeah, Brownings had terrible boots. The boots are garbage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the boots go out of me in 2 months.
Yeah, see, that's the deal with this wader, man. Is that so? I worked for Sims for 16 years. I launched the Gore-Tex wader program with Sims back in 1993, and for fly fishing. And so I've been affiliated with Gore-Tex for my whole rep career, really, or WL Gore. And so we've pretty much been working on these waders at SITKA since the whole brain trust and product brief started in 2011. And then we started working some samples and this, that, and the other in about 2013, 14 time frame. And then we could never find a boot. And then Lacrosse made some developments in some boots. And this will be for 2 years I wore some prototypes with the boots. And at one time we had a number of different boots out there. And by far, we said, one of the things in the brief was, if we can keep a waterfowler's feet warm and then keep him dry, then we're going to hit a home run, period. Well, we definitely got the feet warm deal. These are the warmest boots that I've ever had on my feet waterfowl hunting, period. Comfortable, light. You don't feel like you're trudging around through carrying cement blocks on your feet, or they're so oversized they look like Mickey Mouse boots.
Mm-hmm. How many grams of thinsulate are they, Jeff?
They're not rated that way. There's no thinsulate.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aeroform boat. It's an aeroform boot. So you're using air pockets and foam instead of material or fabric insulation. And so, I think the boots are probably, if you wanted to correlate it with that, which we really don't very often, but it's going to be in the 1600 to 1800 range in there. They're just awesome boots. And, are they something you're going to go bushwhacking through a briar patch or thorn deal? Absolutely not, because that's not what Gore-Tex product and breathable products used for. That's what that neoprene stuff was used for, and because it would self-seal. But it was just so uncomfortable, so cumbersome to use. You'd create so much heat and sweat factor, and then get cold later. No breathability. These things are awesome, and we're in an oversold state at SITKA right now. We just can't meet the demand for it, and which hopefully will get corrected. But at the end of the day,
that's amazing success story. Let me ask you, lifetime warranty on those, pretty much, right, Jeff?
Well, there is all SITKA product has a lifetime warranty on it. And basically there is a life cycle of all of these products. And so a life cycle and lifetime warranty, they don't mean the same thing. A lifetime warranty is if you wear the knees out because they're just wore through the fabric over a period of time, that's different than a material workmanship and defect deal.
Sure, and same with our boats. Obviously boats, if it's a faulty weld, it's on us. It's our bad. But if it's just wear and tear, obviously that's not warranty. So yeah, very similar to our warranty.
That's right. And so what you end up having is you end up having a wader that, unlike other breathable waders that are out there, you can't repair them. And you've got a wader here that's repairable in the field. You can actually repair the wader and use it either later that day or the next day for sure, if it's not in the boot. So basically these waders, if for instance, let's say the thigh, you think you got a wet spot or a leak in your thigh area. So basically you take the wader, you kind of just visualize where it is on the outside or on the inside of the wader, and maybe there's a wet spot on it. And you take a bottle of isopropyl alcohol, spray the inside of the wader, and what you'll find is a gray spot. And that gray spot, or a dark spot, that dark spot is where water has come through the membrane. And the wader, every wader comes with an aquaseal and tape repair kit. You basically crack that aquaseal on, crack the aquaseal open, and then you just use a little bit, almost like you're applying chapstick to your lips. You squeeze a little bit out, and you just dab it or rub it in a circle around that little gray area. Cover the gray area. I over cover it a little bit, so you're doing a little more than the gray area. And the alcohol that's already in the fabric helps to speed up the drying factor of the of the Aqua Seal, and I've patched them and used them 2 hours later.
You know, Jeff, that's been my biggest beef with newer waders today is that, I mean, they're awesome, the technology, but they are impossible to repair a leak. You know, you have the actual wader material, and on top of that, you have this other material up to your knees, and if you have a leak, you cannot locate it. You know, my old technique was to get in a dark room with a flashlight, shine a flashlight in your waders, and guess what? That light would come out where the leak is. Well, you can't do that with these new waders anymore. Maybe that's by purpose, but you know, you have a leak now, and I pretty much have to seal the entire freaking seam, you know, because I don't know where the leak is, and usually I'm not too successful. So, you know, hats off to SITKA in addressing the ability to easily repair a leak. And I think that's why in the past I used to be able to get 10 years out of waders because I could repair them. I could find the leak and repair them. With newer waders now, I can't.
Yeah, and that's, you know, and you talk about that other fabric liner, insulation type liner that's in there, and we, you know, SITKA basically is a skin to shell company, so we sell layering that pretty much allows you not to have an insulated fabric liner in the thing to where you don't need that. And at least that's how we feel. We don't need it. And so with our core lightweight stuff all the way to the heavyweight merino or core heavyweight product that we sell for our base layer and our next to skin product, you know, we cover all that stuff. And, you know, there's been a lot of product testing, a lot of development, a lot of thought go into the design of that so it would work well and layer well under waders. Gradient pant would be a pant that every waterfowler, whether they're buying our waders or not, should have. I mean, it's basically just one of the most comfortable four-way stretch fleece pants you can find out there, and it's got a lot of loft and a lot of warmth.
You know, I have 3 pair of them, and I love that more than any other hunting pant. To me, it's like wearing your lounge pants out to hunt or pajamas.
That's exactly right.
It's comfortable garment and functional, the way they stretch, you know, the comfort level, the warmth of them, just a fantastic product. And it does work great underneath those breathable waders, whether it's your brand or, you know, I've got another brand that has their lining, a quilted lining comes out, and I don't even know where to find the lining for those because I wear my SITKA gear under it, you know, the next to skin stuff when it's really, really warm outside all the way through, you know, the fleece pants when it's very, very cold, and unbelievably comfortable. I can only imagine how the layering products SITKA makes are going to work in the new SITKA waders. And hopefully I'll be seeing a pair here shortly. I'm going to have to get on Ryan Bassam. He said he would be sending me some, but I ain't seen them yet. So
good luck with that, because I can tell you, I've bought 3 pairs from retailers, my retailers in my territory, because I can't get them. So I've got the original prototype pair that I have that I've been wearing that are fine, but I bought one for my youngest boy and one for one of my best hunting buddies and that hunts with me all the time, and then one for one of my other sons. So I hope Ryan gets a pair for you, but I wouldn't hold your breath because there aren't many out there.
Maybe next year, J. Paul. Next season.
Sounds like I'm out of luck. Did you get any, Dave?
Nope. I don't have any. No, they're hard to come by. So that's a good problem to have for SITKA. I know that's quite a success story.
Yeah.
To sell $900 pair of waders and not be able to keep them in stock, and you know,
Man,
they're worth the money, especially with that warranty.
I mean, we've already been writing orders for 2019, and
wow.
I mean, I could use. I've got standing orders for 1,000 pairs from 3 or 4 different dealers. So, and I'm not going to get them. So,
you know, SITKA has just proved to the industry that, you know, the consumer will pay more for quality product. I mean, you look at SITKA, what they came out with, $500 hunting jackets, which, you know, a few years ago, it's like, wow, man, who's going to pay $500 for a hunting jacket? Now it's, you know, the answer is everybody who wants good quality gear will pay that much for gear that is good quality, functional, comfortable, and will last, for years, not a lifetime.
Well, you
years.
got that right. I mean, basically every hunting apparel company out there, that whether they're in the waterfowl game, the big game category, or the whitetail category, is thanking us because we created another category that was a price category that was well above the industry norm, and it's allowed them to try different thresholds. But at the end of the day, we make great product. There's a lot of thought goes into it, a lot of testing goes into it, and it performs, and it keeps you in the field more comfortable in the field longer. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's got the best camo pattern in the industry.
No doubt about that. Optifade has revolutionized camo. I love Optifade. And, the durability too. I mean, you talk about the thing that I like the most about my SITKA gear is the fit of it, but also the durability. I mean, I've got several pieces of SITKA gear, and I've put them through a lot of abuse. I don't have anything that even is close to being worn out.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
No, I got a story about I bought my son some Pantanal gloves last year for Christmas. First day out this year, we got home, and a week later we're going hunting. He's like, Jack, where are those gloves? Could not find them anywhere. Ripped the house apart looking for those things. Looked in every hunting bag I have and gun box, and could not find them. Well, last Sunday we were hunting, and I have a stool that I keep out in my hunting spot, and usually the stool's laying under the water, and part of it's chewed open from mice that got in. I had food in this. It has a little pocket, and I look in there, and it's like, I see some Optifade. Jack, I found your gloves. These gloves have been sitting underwater for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, oh man, these things are trash. They're going to smell. Put them through a cycle in the wash, dried them on the glove dryer. They look like new. So, yeah, good testimony. I was happy. I was pretty mad at Jack but actually it was probably my fault because I'm the one that put him in that that stool in the first place. But, oh well.
I'll tell you what, Jeff, it has been our pleasure having you on here with us today, and we definitely got to have you back. I mean, you've had some tremendous experiences along the way, and you get to hunt with some really cool people. One question that we ask all of our first time guests: so if you and I and Dave are hunting together and we get hungry and we want to go pilfer through your blind bag and try to find something to snack on, what are we going to find? What's your go-to snack in your blind bag?
Well, you're probably going to find some cinnamon, brown sugar Pop-Tarts in there, and you're probably going to find some Ritz peanut butter crackers.
Brown sugar Pop-Tarts, those are my favorite.
Well,
but I got shelled corn in my bag. I know J. Paul knows that. And I like to munch on that.
Well, wait, and I'm not going to say, I'll have to text independently because I'm not going to say it over there, but wait till you see what those Pop-Tarts are in.
So what is it, a Plano?
Yeah,
Plano Pop-Tart case?
No, it's bought from Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. It's a Pop-Tart case. You can buy them. Go on eBay or Amazon. Or
really?
Buy them. Yeah, but mine, I can tell you right now, nobody's got, maybe one other person's got one like mine.
Wow, that is a novelty. You have Pop-Tarts and they aren't crushed.
They're not crushed. You're not having.
I got to look into that.
You can actually take them out whole.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, Dave's snack is in a 50-pound burlap sack. Whole kernel corn.
He's got 3 kinds of calls: cracked corn, cob corn, and shelled corn, right?
There you go. Hey, it's good carbohydrates. It's good stuff. Just a little crunchy. It's not bad.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, Dave once told me, J. Paul, if you want to be a better duck caller, just put out more corn.
That's a good point.
One of these days somebody's going to be listening to these podcasts and they're really.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get a knock on the door one of these days. Yeah.
Wow. Well, man, it has been a pleasure having you both today. Of course, Dave, my partner in crime. It's a lot of fun always, but having you, Jeff, has been a blast too. And we want to thank you guys. And before we go, either one of you guys got anything else you want to throw out there, a parting shot? Comment?
Nah, I don't have anything else. I'd love to be back and we can talk about other stuff, whether it be Mow Marsh or Rig 'em Right or, or other adventures. I mean, like you said, I've been on a bunch. I mean, Ira McCauley actually and we took our boys to New Zealand and shot waterfowl over there, black swans, paradise shell ducks, the Australasian shovelers, whole deal. So yeah, I'd love to. I'll do this.
Dave, we're in the wrong business.
You want me to do it?
No kidding, man. And I never have a parting shot because you know why?
Why?
Because parting shots are always a waste of ammo. It's like, oh, f- you, man, you already missed him twice in that parting shot. He's 80 yards away. It's like boom. So yeah, I don't do parting shots anymore when I can help it.
Here's the deal with that one: is a guaranteed miss is a shot not taken.
That is true. Ammo is cheap. Yep.
That's right. Cheapest part of the hunt.
Well, and I'm just the opposite from you, Jeff. I mean, I love hunting in the timber. Don't get me wrong. I'd just soon be standing by a white oak tree in flooded timber than anywhere in this world. But if I have to choose between 2 volleys and 10, I'm that guy that has a lot of bloodlust. I just like to kill. Okay.
Well, I do. I don't disagree. I like to kill.
Yeah, I mean, I get to there's always a certain amount of remorse, in those good days when I kill that last duck. And you don't have to limit out to have a great hunt. I don't mean that at all. Some of the best hunts I've been on, 4 guys, we didn't kill 3 ducks, but I had a blast. But man, I like watching them work anywhere. I like watching them finish, whether it's in the timber, a rice field, a cornfield, a marsh. For me, it's about watching them finish, period, no matter where. But most of all, I just like to kill stuff. And with you and Holly Grove and Dave coming to Marvel every year, in January, we need to make it a point for the 3 of us to get together at either your spot, my spot, or Bill's spot with Dave and go after him and record another one of these while we're out in the blind.
Yeah, most definitely. That'd be great.
Just let me know when.
All right. Well, I got your email, Jeff. I'm going to stay in touch. We're going to make that a plan. So we'll try to get a podcast with SITKA athlete Jeff Watt and Excel Boats sales director extraordinaire Dave Reynolds and myself going sometime in January. But until next time, J. Paul Jackson here for my buddy Dave Reynolds, our guest Jeff Watt. We all want to thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Excel Boats on the X podcast, powered by MudBuddy Motors.